That's dry. What we have now is a very rough image. The subject matter is raw. We wanted it that way. Now what we're going to do is define the trees by actually painting around them. I have plenty of colours laid out on the palette. You can choose any colours you want. It's a mixture here of transparent and opaque colours. Mostly transparent so that I can get some life into it to use for the transparent glaze, which we'll do right now. We scumbled some light into this area here so that it will respond to a glaze, and let's use gold. So here we are, this is our Italian pink. You can use Indian yellow, transparent glaze, just adjusting it on the cloth and scrubbing it across the surface, making use of that light foundation beneath it and making sure that it's not runny at all. And of course the reflections. And for fun, let's place little bits of transparent glaze here and there just to pick up that gold colour through the painting. Let's now mix a very bright green. These are opaque colours, but there's plenty of medium, and you notice I only used just tiny little bits. Applying it in the circular motion that is in the spirit of these trees, and we did this, remember, from day one. And of course going through a little bit of the gold here and there. You'll notice this makes a dramatic difference, and see that I'm going on either side of the trees. Now I'm not going over the whole thing with any of these applications. And of course some reflections directly beneath where you applied your own applications. There's one there, and so I go down here. And if you wish, you can make some horizontal strokes just here and there. Through this middle section of the reflections, we empowered the canvas with vertical strokes using the dagger technique. You can now, if you want to apply just here and there some horizontal transparent glazes just to pick up that horizontal feeling of reflections on the water, just to increase the quality of our reflections. As you can see now, the trees are standing out a little more as subjects, and yet we haven't today touched them. Now at this point, the danger is that we can overwork it. They were very quick applications which transformed yet again the image dramatically. Advanced technique is very powerful and very quick. To add a little depth now, we're going to add some darks. That's some phthalo blue, you can use ultramarine, and some alizarin crimson. The purpose here is to have a very sort of dull purple, a very greyed purple. This is the first time of the painting that we're going this dark, and have a look how dramatic it is. Pick an area where you think it's a little flat, which might be in here, and just come in underneath. The technique is the brush is flat against the canvas, and you'll notice that the glaze fills all of those little grooves of texture, and the texture is yet again working for you. Keep the mix rather dry, even though it's quite runny on the palette there. Where I'm working it is quite dry. And of course, whatever you put up above, we just reflect down below. These ones can be a little more watery down in here. Notice that I'm using a combination of horizontal and vertical, and I'm really just skipping across the surface. I'm not really adding too much glaze here. A little bit goes a long way at this stage. This way you have control over how dark you want an area of your painting, and a little bit just here and there. I'm going across the face of that tree there. Really just tiny amounts of glaze, not much at all, letting the powerful effects just happen naturally, all the while thankful for the texture underneath. If you're brave enough, you can hit very quickly some transparent glazes through your rocks, like that. Tiny amounts, quick, bold, powerful strokes. Don't overdo it, it will just happen naturally. Now, in this section of the painting, we're going to add any colours you like, but just make them muddy. We don't want them too dark, so I'm just using really what's on the palette here. And not coming down too far, I'm going to just tickle the glaze in where I think the waterline stops. I'm really just going underneath where the rocks are, just defining the waterline with a very, very light glaze. You'll see that it changes it dramatically yet again. This is a little more runny, so I'm having to keep working it just until it goes off a little bit. You'll notice that it's very light still. If you've got a dark band there now, you're probably better off to wipe off and come back again to very subtle applications. And now's the time just to look through your painting and see where some of the areas are a little raw, where maybe the colour that you applied in the powerful creative process like this doesn't now make much visual sense. It's raw, and a tiny glaze over it will just refine it for you. And that really can be a finished painting. It's very artistic, it's got all of the spiritual qualities of bush, it's very appealing to the eye. To test yours, put it in a frame and notice the difference. Now, you may have trees that don't have darks in them to define them. Be very, very careful how you do this. Mine doesn't need it, but I'll show you how to define the edge of a tree if you want to. Again, don't overdo this. Just using a dark glaze. Oops, that's a bit strong, so I'll wipe that off. I'm sure you've got the idea even now. The glaze is only just on the tip of my brush, so that the left-hand edge as you view it gets a little darker, and all of the texture is working for you. And reflect what you do, of course. At this point now, we want to add a foundation just in a few different areas, just to give your painting a lift and some highlights. So here is some Scumble Mix, which is bright yellow and white, and just striking some of this very light yellow through that bottom section of the painting. Just adding some brighter colours here and there. Not too thick. And now some blue-green colour, just here and there. Using a variation of the creative knife technique. And now I'm going to add some pure white. Using the creative knife technique, keeping some texture on the canvas, but not too much.